Do not blink. Do not pause. And absolutely do not turn away. Because what you are about to witness is the absolute, cold-blooded structural demolition of a 25-year hip-hop empire. The rap world has officially crossed a terrifying point of no return. The underground audio that has just leaked from the deepest, most secure corners of the Atlanta music industry has left the entire culture in a state of absolute horror. What you are about to hear is not a calculated marketing gimmick. This is not a publicity stunt, a scene from a reality television show, or a traditional rap battle. This is the literal, unedited, and completely devastating sound of the undisputed king of the South, Clifford T.I. Harris, completely breaking down. We are talking about a living legend weeping in total isolation after realizing his multi-million-dollar final retirement rollout has been systematically liquidated. For the past few hours, an encrypted audio file has been circulating through underground networks. It captures T.I. in a state of raw, unadulterated heartbreak. He thought he could use his final studio album, Kill the King, to quietly secure his legacy and walk away from the game on his own pristine terms. But he completely underestimated the absolute, psychological ruthlessness of his greatest rival. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson did not just respond to T.I.'s musical provocations with standard bars. He executed a multi-layered corporate execution that has destroyed T.I.'s distribution, turned his household into a digital war zone, and left a legendary career in literal ashes. We are breaking down every shocking twist right now. To understand how a living legend like T.I. could be reduced to weeping behind closed doors, you have to look at the massive unstable fault lines that have existed beneath his empire for over 2 decades. Clifford Harris spent 25 years engineering a legacy that defined the modern era of Southern hip-hop. Emerging from the brutal street corners of West Atlanta, he didn't just survive the trap. He corporate packaged it, transformed it into a global export, and proudly crowned himself the king of the South. He built Grand Hustle into a multi-million-dollar kingdom, transitioned seamlessly into a Hollywood actor, and sold the world an aspirational, family-friendly reality television brand. T.I. wanted his final chapter to be an unassailable monument of dignity. He designed his 12th and final studio album, Kill the King, to be a flawless artistic victory lap. It was supposed to be a clean exit from the rap game that would immortalize his name on his own pristine terms. He believed his legacy was bulletproof, insulated by decades of chart-topping hits and corporate alliances. What he completely failed to realize was that in the brutal, hyper-competitive jungle of the hip-hop elite, declaring your own retirement while holding on to a crown is an open invitation for absolute assassination. Enter Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, the undisputed godfather of digital psychological warfare and reputational destruction. 50 Cent does not operate by the traditional rules of rap battles. He operates on a doctrine of total structural demolition. The bad blood between these two titans is not new. It has been simmering in a dark, toxic ocean of unresolved competitive malice since the mid-2000s when both men were fighting for absolute dominance over the culture. The friction violently reignited when T.I. publicly summoned 50 Cent for a historic versus battle, confidently claiming that the New York mogul was ducking the smoke. To T.I., it was a standard musical challenge. To 50 Cent, it was a declaration of war. Instead of heading to the recording studio to trade bars, 50 Cent instantly bypassed the music industry and launched a multi-layered psychological blitzkrieg directly at T.I.'s household. He systematically weaponized the internet, posting deeply personal, unflattering images of T.I.'s wife, Tiny Harris, and aggressively mocking his family. The conflict rapidly deteriorated from an industry debate into raw, unhinged warfare. As T.I.'s adult son, King Harris, rushed to defend his mother's honor, it unleashed a volatile back and forth that targeted 50 Cent's circle. The internet went into an absolute frenzy as T.I. responded with relentless musical salvos, including tracks like Lessons and What Bully. T.I. was trying desperately to fight a ghost on his phone with vintage street poetry. He thought his lyrical sharpness would protect his kingdom. He thought that by dropping elite bars he could force a traditional retreat. But he was playing checkers against a man who specializes in burning the entire board down. This catastrophic clash was completely inevitable. For 20 years, these two men occupied opposite poles of power. One was chasing Hollywood validation and structural peace, while the other was thriving in the absolute darkest, chaotic corners of public destruction. By naming his final retirement project Kill the King, T.I. unknowingly handed his greatest rival the exact psychological script needed to dismantle his life. 50 Cent didn't just want to win a debate. He wanted to ensure that the King of the South's final rollout wasn't a celebration, but a public execution that would leave his legacy entirely in ruins. And as the financial walls of Grand Hustle began to crack under the pressure, T.I. was about to discover that 50 Cent's master plan involved a secret internal betrayal that would change the trajectory of his entire life forever. Now let us step directly into the dark heart of this unfolding catastrophe and look at the exact moment the kingdom completely cracked. The definitive flashpoint that shattered Clifford Harris's world did not happen on a public stage, in front of a radio microphone, or during a carefully managed press conference. It happened behind the heavily fortified, double-locked doors of an undisclosed private corporate safe house in the elite suburbs of Atlanta. The date was just weeks ago, deep into the high-stakes rollout for Kill the King. T.I. had summoned his absolute inner circle, his top-tier executives, his emergency public relations team, and his legal advisors for an emergency midnight assembly. The atmosphere in that room was described by deep industry insiders as a psychological horror scene. The air was thick with smoke, phones were ringing off the hook on absolute silent vibration, and multi-million-dollar tech executives were sweating through their bespoke suits. Someone in that very room, someone T.I. had trusted with his life, his money, and his deepest secrets, had their smartphone quietly recording under the table. And the underground audio file that escaped those four walls is a profound emotional tragedy that has permanently altered the landscape of modern hip-hop. In this chilling recording, the characteristic, hyper-articulate, and fiercely confident cadence of the self-proclaimed King of the South is completely gone. There is no bravado. There are no multi-syllabic vocabulary words designed to outsmart his opponents. Instead, you are forced to listen to a 45-year-old street pioneer completely stripped of his pride, his masculine armor, and his legacy, weeping with a raw, gasping vulnerability that will send an immediate shiver down your spine. Over the chaotic ambient sound of heavy legal folders slamming onto glass tables and the frantic murmurs of panicked assistants, T.I.'s voice breaks into a jagged, agonizing sob as he screams at the top of his lungs. He can be heard weeping openly, shouting that he built the very concrete platform the entire Southern rap industry is eating off of today, only to watch Curtis Jackson systematically turn his life into a digital circus. In the leaked tape, T.I. desperately cries out about the sheer torment his household has endured since the conflict began, stating that his wife, Tiny, cannot even glance at a screen without seeing millions of internet trolls aggressively mocking her appearance. Meanwhile, his 21-year-old son, King Harris, is being paraded across social media platforms as a laughingstock following his viral roadside encounters and controversial public arguments. He explicitly weeps that Kill the King was supposed to be his triumphant, peaceful exit to protect his grandchildren. But 50 Cent has completely suffocated the rollout, leaving him stranded in a room full of useless corporate suits while his entire financial infrastructure bleeds out in real time. To hear a man who conquered the music industry reduce himself to absolute tears of helplessness is a deeply jarring experience for any fan who remembers the golden era of Grand Hustle. But how did 50 Cent manage to inflict this level of psychological and financial devastation without ever stepping foot into a recording booth to trade actual diss tracks? This brings us directly to the first massive, jaw-dropping twist that has left the entire music industry in a state of absolute horror. The public foolishly believed that 50 Cent was merely playing a game of petty internet memes on his Instagram page. In reality, the memes were nothing more than a brilliant tactical smokescreen designed to keep the public distracted while 50 Cent executed a cold-blooded, multi-million-dollar corporate decapitation behind closed doors. 50 Cent did not just look to hurt T.I.'s feelings. He went directly for the jugular of the Kill the King financial engine. High-level insider intelligence has just confirmed that 50 Cent discovered a fatal, catastrophic vulnerability in T.I.'s independent distribution contracts and master recording funding. Working through shadow investment groups and high-powered media conglomerates in New York, 50 Cent quietly bought out a massive, predatory debt leverage option tied directly to the independent platforms designated to launch and amplify T.I.'s final album. The moment 50 Cent acquired that financial leverage, he pulled the plug on the entire operation. Simultaneously, 50 Cent took the official, unedited police body cam footage of King Harris's tense roadside standoff and sent it directly to the ethics and compliance boards of 3 major Fortune 500 tech and lifestyle companies that had originally signed on to subsidize T.I.'s lucrative, multi-city farewell stadium tour. Within an agonizing 48-hour window, every single corporate sponsor pulled their funding, citing immense brand liability and moral clauses. T.I. was left completely trapped, holding a massive, multi-million-dollar bill for a global album rollout that now had zero corporate backing, zero streaming platform amplification, and a public image that was being ruthlessly dismantled hour by hour. But as devastating as that financial ruin is, the situation gets infinitely worse, landing a psychological blow that T.I. may never recover from. As digital forensic experts began analyzing the exact audio signature of the leaked crying tape to trace how it hit underground servers, they uncovered a dark, terrifying truth. The audio file was not intercepted by an outside group of elite international hackers, and it was not leaked via a security breach on an executive's email server. The digital encryption code on the file reveals it was captured by a highly sophisticated recording device positioned directly inside T.I.'s inner family perimeter. Think about the bone-chilling weight of that revelation. Clifford Harris is not just fighting an unhinged, multi-layered war against a genius rival in New York. He is actively harboring a calculated, highly paid informant inside his own bloodline, a real-world traitor who sits at his dinner table, listens to his legal strategies, and watches his private tears. Insider reports claim that 50 Cent's associates offered an astronomical, life-changing 6-figure payout to someone deeply embedded within the Harris household. Waiting for the exact millisecond T.I. completely lost his mental composure, so they could weaponize his broken spirit against him. T.I. is standing in a kingdom where his own circle has been bought and paid for. And as the countdown to his ruined album ticks away, the King of the South is realizing that the ultimate threat isn't outside his gates. It's already sleeping inside his house. The moment that raw, agonizing audio file broke through the secure walls of underground forums and hit mainstream social media platforms, a digital shockwave tore through the rap ecosystem. This was no longer a standard celebrity dispute. It was a total digital system collapse. Within minutes, the viral hashtag capturing T.I. in tears began trending worldwide, racking up millions of hysterical searches as fans and critics alike watched the undisputed King of the South suffer an absolute mental breakdown in real time. The internet didn't just listen. It completely went into a state of severe panic, realizing that the bulletproof armor of one of hip-hop's most articulate legends had been permanently shattered. Look at how fast the culture began taking sides as verified insider accounts leaked screenshots of a frantic emergency text exchange between top-tier executives at Grand Hustle Records and Empire Distribution. One high-profile industry insider tweeted that the leaked tape was 100% authentic, calling it an absolute catastrophe that left Grand Hustle in a state of total structural panic behind the scenes. The tweet explained that 50 Cent had bypassed the recording booth entirely and successfully hacked into T.I.'s emotional core, utilizing psychological warfare at a level hip-hop has never witnessed since the mid-90s. On social media, massive commentary channels started breaking down the audio frequency of T.I.'s voice, highlighting the exact second his hyper-confident masculine ego completely ruptured under the pressure of 50 Cent's unrelenting digital blitzkrieg. But as the entire world was reeling in absolute disbelief over T.I.'s private tears, an even darker, infinitely more sinister secondary reveal dropped that completely flipped the entire narrative on its head. The crying audio was merely the bait. High-level cybersecurity insiders have just confirmed that the highly paid informant hiding inside the Harris family inner circle did not just leave a recording device running during T.I.'s emotional collapse. That emotional recording was just a tactical distraction to cover up a cold-blooded corporate execution happening in the background. While T.I. was weeping over his shattered multi-city stadium tour and ruined brand sponsorships, the traitor inside his household allegedly used biometric access to open T.I.'s private home safe in Buckhead and completely cleaned out a highly classified digital hard drive. We are talking about a drive containing a decade's worth of unreleased master tracks, secret financial tax records, and highly sensitive non-disclosure agreements that were never supposed to see the light of day. This is where the second unexpected twist lands like a multi-million-dollar grenade, right into the heart of T.I.'s remaining empire. Insider intelligence reveals that 50 Cent did not just buy up T.I.'s debt leverage. He has reportedly partnered with a massive, multi-billion-dollar global streaming giant to produce an immediate, unscripted docu-series tentatively titled The Fall of the South. The hard drive stolen from T.I.'s private safe has allegedly been handed directly to 50 Cent's legal and production team at G-Unit Film and Television. This means that every single sensitive allegation from the past that T.I. desperately tried to bury, every hidden financial vulnerability, and the raw unedited footage of his family's most embarrassing legal standoffs have been compressed into a highly polished, streaming-friendly format. The corporate plot behind this is terrifyingly brilliant. The streaming giant has reportedly scheduled the global premiere of this devastating exposé for the exact same day Kill the King is set to hit digital platforms on June 26, 2026. 50 Cent is deliberately timing this release to ensure that the moment T.I. attempts to upload his final triumphant musical statement, the global news cycle will be completely drowned out by a multi-part documentary exposing the darkest, most carefully guarded secrets of his entire private life. T.I.'s legal team is currently panicking at a federal level, frantically trying to file an emergency midnight injunction to block the broadcast. But industry power players claim the damage is already absolute. The transition from a legendary retirement party into a literal career funeral is happening right before our eyes. If the boogeyman of New York can completely dismantle a 25-year legacy, using an active corporate spy inside T.I.'s own bloodline, it raises a chilling new question that has the entire industry shivering in fear. How can T.I. even attempt to launch a counter-strike when his own private sanctuary is entirely compromised and his greatest secrets are already loaded into his enemy's firing chamber? Keep your eyes completely locked onto the situation because the public explosion that followed this corporate revelation has just forced the rest of the entertainment industry to pick a side in a war that is spiraling completely out of control. The moment that agonizing audio file of Clifford Harris weeping broke through the digital floodgates, it didn't just trend. It completely fractured the global hip-hop community into two fiercely warring factions, igniting an unprecedented ideological war across the internet. We are witnessing a total system shock. For the past 12 hours, the entire culture has been locked in a vicious debate, unable to process the terrifying reality of seeing a 25-year street icon completely dismantled without a single shot being fired. Look at your screens right now and ask yourself if the game has completely lost its soul, or if this is just the ultimate masterclass in modern corporate warfare. The digital battlefield is bleeding raw emotion. Underneath every major hip-hop channel, the comment sections have mutated into an unmanageable war zone. On one side stands the unyielding army of street purists fiercely defending T.I.'s legacy under the banner of Team Tip. They are flooding the internet with classic tracks, arguing that 50 Cent has violated the absolute most sacred unwritten laws of human decency. A prominent user posted a viral comment that has already racked up hundreds of thousands of likes, stating that what 50 Cent is doing isn't hip-hop, but a calculated, psychological execution. The comment added that weaponizing a man's family, buying up his independent debt, and leaking his private tears to destroy his retirement album is pure corporate bullying. It reminded everyone that Clifford built the platform these new executives are eating off of today, and to see him treated like this is an absolute tragedy. T.I.'s loyal fan base is screaming for blood, calling for a total boycott of 50 Cent's upcoming television projects, and demanding that Atlanta street elements permanently ban the G-Unit mogul from stepping foot in the city. But on the opposing side stands an equally massive, completely unsympathetic internet army, riding with Team 50. They are relentlessly mocking T.I.'s emotional collapse, weaponizing his family's recent controversial legal booking photos, and turning T.I.'s own words against him. A user named G-Unit Forensic shot back in a trending thread, saying that people are crying for a man who spent 2 decades calling himself a king and claiming he was untouchable. The user argued that T.I. brought his private life into the light for reality television checks, and put a target on his own back by naming his final project Kill the King. They claimed 50 Cent didn't sneak attack him, but rather played real-world chess, advising that if you can't stand the heat of the digital era, you should take the crown off your head because the audio doesn't lie, and Clifford simply got outsmarted. The fallout has completely paralyzed the music industry infrastructure. High-level reports indicate that major radio syndicates across the Deep South have officially enacted an immediate, quiet blackout on T.I.'s final album singles out of sheer panic that broadcasting his music could incite physical violence outside their concrete studios. Elite club promoters in Atlanta have halted VIP bookings for both entourages, completely altering the city's nightlife landscape as major executives take immediate cover. Even hip-hop's most powerful commentators are panicking on live broadcasts, frantically screaming into their microphones about the escalating danger. One prominent media personality went live to an emergency audience of over 150,000 concurrent viewers, shouting that this is the most dangerous situation hip-hop has faced since the mid-90s. He stressed that having leaked audio of an absolute pioneer crying over his financial ruin, combined with real-world corporate spies in the camp and rumors of a stolen hard drive, is a recipe for absolute disaster. He warned that if someone doesn't step in to mediate the situation between T.I. and 50 Cent right now, Atlanta is going to witness an absolute catastrophe on live television. Meanwhile, legendary industry peers broke their silence during intense high-profile radio interviews, dropping subtle yet chilling warnings that have sent shockwaves through executive boardrooms. One veteran artist stated that while he loves Clifford as a king who shaped this culture, the temperature of the room completely changes when people start talking about corporate blockades, stolen hard drives from private safes, and a grown man weeping for his legacy. He noted that this isn't entertainment anymore, but rather an organized execution of a black independent empire, and warned that the consequences are going to be permanent. But just as the public was drowning in this wave of pure madness, 50 Cent decided to fuel the controversy further. He uploaded a video to his stories showing a mock gold-plated plaque dedicated to T.I.'s leaked audio, captioning it as the first gold record of 2026 for Best Dramatic Performance by an Actor. He added a mocking message telling Cliff to keep crying, because the docu-series trailer drops tomorrow. This single statement has pushed the industry to the absolute edge of sanity, leaving millions wondering if T.I. can ever recover from this public humiliation, or if the ultimate devastation is still hiding in the shadows, waiting for the final countdown timer to hit 0. If you think a stolen hard drive, a ruined multi-million-dollar rollout, and the heartbreaking sound of Clifford Harris weeping in total isolation are the absolute peak of this tragedy, you are not prepared for the final mind-bending matrix of deception that has just been unmasked. This is no longer a rap feud. This is a cold-blooded psychological thriller playing out in real time. And this final twist will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about the Harris family dynamic, as we prepare to expose the ultimate internal betrayal. As T.I.'s elite, high-powered legal team scrambled in a state of absolute midnight panic to file an emergency federal injunction in Georgia to seize the anonymous web domain hosting that blood-red countdown timer, a fatal administrative error occurred. A single unredacted page from the sealed federal court clerk's office was accidentally uploaded to a public server for less than 60 seconds. But 60 seconds was all it took for digital forensic researchers to capture a detail so deeply sinister, it has sent a literal chill down the spine of every major artist in the global music industry. The federal injunction filed by T.I.'s lawyers wasn't just targeting Curtis Jackson or G-Unit Film and Television. The primary individual named as the lead co-conspirator, the individual accused of physically cracking open T.I.'s private home safe in Buckhead and selling the Clifford files to 50 Cent's corporate entity, was none other than T.I.'s own 21-year-old son, King Harris. The sheer psychological horror of this inside betrayal has left the entire hip-hop community in an absolute state of grief and shock. The streets are quietly whispering about the terrifying motive behind this multi-layered family execution. Insider intelligence has just confirmed that following King Harris's catastrophic April 2026 felony arrest in his camel-wrapped Tesla Cybertruck, the young aspiring rapper felt completely abandoned by his father's public stance. Facing severe time in a state penitentiary for controlled substances and weapons violations, King Harris was reportedly approached in total secrecy by high-level corporate fixers acting on behalf of 50 Cent's multi-billion-dollar streaming network. The deal they offered was completely cold-blooded. In exchange for absolute access to his father's private safe and the classified federal wiretap hard drive, King Harris would receive an unmatchable multi-million-dollar independent recording contract with G-Unit Records alongside the most elite, high-priced corporate defense attorneys in New York City to ensure his felony charges are completely wiped from his record. The son literally traded his father's lifetime legacy to buy his own freedom and secure a seat at his father's worst enemy's table. This means that as T.I. was sitting in that Atlanta safe house weeping over his ruined brand sponsorships and canceled stadium tours, the child he was desperately trying to protect from the shadows of his own past was the one who had loaded the weapon and handed it directly to 50 Cent. The countdown timer on the anonymous website is currently ticking down its final agonizing hours, blinking in blood-red text under the title, The True Death of the King. As we speak, heavily armed private tactical security teams have just been spotted setting up an absolute military-grade perimeter around a heavily fortified, undisclosed warehouse location on the dark outskirts of Atlanta. Deep industry insiders are reporting that an emergency, high-stakes midnight meeting has been called behind closed doors where T.I., 50 Cent, and King Harris are rumored to be heading right now for a final, catastrophic face-to-face confrontation before that timer hits absolute zero. No cameras, no corporate executives, and no police. Just a broken father staring into the eyes of a treacherous son, and a remorseless rival. If this meeting goes left, it won't just be the end of an album rollout. It will be a literal historical catastrophe that will permanently alter the hip-hop map forever. The red lights are flashing, the clock is running out of time, and the ultimate devastation is about to explode. This toxic cycle of ambition and vengeance highlights the extreme lengths to which the modern digital age pushes industry icons. The line between reality and entertainment has been completely erased, leaving an entire generation of fans paralyzed by the sheer speed of this structural collapse. Legal experts analyzing the leaked federal court documents suggest that if these allegations hold true in a court of law, the financial ramifications for Grand Hustle Records could extend far beyond a canceled tour. We are looking at potential asset liquidation, contractual defaults, and a total freeze on T.I.'s extensive catalog of master recordings. The strategy deployed by the New York mogul is being studied by corporate lawyers as a textbook case of hostile brand elimination. By attacking the infrastructure instead of trading musical verses, the opposition effectively neutralized T.I.'s greatest weapon, which has always been his silver-tongued lyricism and articulate public defense. In the streets of Atlanta, the mood is described as incredibly tense, with local community leaders calling for immediate calm among the city's competing cultural factions. There is a deep, underlying fear that the digital animosity generated by this conflict will spill over into the physical world, disrupting the delicate peace that has existed within the Southern music capital for years. Meanwhile, high-level sources within the streaming giant report that the corporate boardrooms are completely unmoved by T.I.'s pending legal threats. They have already allocated a massive multi-million-dollar marketing budget to ensure that the premiere of the upcoming docu series dominates every single digital platform the moment the clock strikes midnight. The corporate machinery has been set into motion, and it appears entirely indifferent to the personal tragedy of a father losing the loyalty of his own son. For many veteran observers of the culture, this moment marks the definitive end of an era where talent alone could insulate an artist from destruction. It proves that in the current media ecosystem, data security, financial leverage, and digital perception are infinitely more powerful than historical achievements or street credibility. T.I. now finds himself isolated in a digital landscape that he helped create but no longer controls, fighting a war on two fronts against an external mastermind and an internal defector. As the final hours of the countdown bleed away, the entire entertainment industry remains completely frozen, waiting to see if the King of the South can somehow pull off a miraculous counter-strategy, or if his legendary empire will officially become nothing more than a cautionary tale for future generations. The clock is ticking to absolute destruction, and we need to hear your voice right now. The red lights are flashing, the countdown timer is nearing zero, and the ultimate truth is about to explode across the internet. Did King Harris commit the ultimate family sin by trading his father's 25-year legacy for a recording contract and personal freedom? Or is TI finally paying the ultimate price for his own chaotic past and reality television empire? Are you standing with Atlanta under the banner of Team Tip, or are you riding with the digital godfather under Team 50? This is no longer just an industry debate, so you need to pick a side in this war immediately. Flood the comment section below with your raw theories right now because our team is actively monitoring your responses live. We want to know exactly what you think will happen when these three titans finally stand face to face behind closed doors. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you do not miss our emergency live breakdown. The absolute millisecond that blood red countdown timer hits 0, we will be back with the final, jaw-dropping conclusion. Stay alert, do not look away, and stay tuned for more breaking updates.